And we are live with the great and powerful Nick Harmon. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good.
Thanks for having me once again, Sean. It's a pleasure always.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of big things in the works. It's
Can that
pretty.
be the name of this podcast? Big Things?
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Good.
But we won't call it big things in the works.
Now it'll be just Big Things.
Big things. I will call it that. I'm happy to call it that. Yeah, man. Illinois was a hoot. A fucking hoot.
So the
Um,
premise of this conversation would be one thing would be the follow up to our great Fresco Harmony adventure in Illinois.
yep.
I was listening to your podcast, the precursor parts 1 and 2
Mm-hmm.
of the Great Fresco Harmony adventure, and Chad being stone cold about my coming.
I know.
And it was a little sad that when I showed up, I was having some trouble with the live feed on Instagram, but it was a surprise nonetheless.
I keep saying that was the cherry on the cake. Like, we got there, me and Cam and Chad, we smashed that first day, and then you fucking showed up. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I didn't even tell Aaron. I couldn't tell anybody.
When you were
I
like,
just
when does Aaron get here? I was like, oh my God, Aaron's
I
coming.
talked to him about it. No, I
Yeah,
didn't talk to him. I thought about talking to him about it. Yeah, I don't think he would have been able to make that one.
I
But it was
know.
a great idea, and it has planted the seed for more big things.
It sure has. And the next one's in the works. It's well, you and I have talked to the designer now. Has she gotten back to you yet?
No.
Yeah, okay. It's soon.
Was
It'll be soon.
Now, would you say that? So I, of course, like a true drywaller, I want to take credit for everything. Would you
Perfect.
say that
So
would you say the Great Fresco Adventure? I mean, you and Chad sort of spearheaded it, but I
for
feel
sure.
like it was during the adventure when we were there having fun. And I had an idea of doing like a training or something because we had talked
Mm-hmm.
with Umbrella about
Yep.
a group doing like a Fresco Harmony training. If there was somebody in the nation or Canada or the globe,
Yeah.
Europe, we're not excluding anyone that wanted to do a whole house in Fresco Harmony. Sometimes what happens is the contractor would be a little bit nervous because maybe that drywall contractor hasn't done Fresco Harmony before. So they're a little nervous to pull the trigger. Well, we have experts, myself. You've done enough now that I would consider you, if we were talking plaster, you'd be a certified applicator.
Ooh.
But anyone can use Fresco Harmony. You can do a really horrible job and use it out of the gate. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I had done some up until Illinois, but when I left Illinois, I felt like what you're talking about, where it's like there's no qualms now. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah,
The lap marks, the things that you're conscious to, keeping those corners like
little
tight.
things.
That's all it is.
It's just like drywall, man. I mean, there's a couple, drywall. Yes, drywall finishing takes a lot of practice when you're working with the mud, but I think it's like little tricks, thinning down your mud to the proper consistency, holding your knife at the proper blade angle. These
Yeah,
are all similar aspects that go into Fresco Harmony. I think anybody can spread colored mud onto the wall. But
totally.
there's like a couple little tricks, man, like not keeping too much mud on the side of your blade, keeping the
Mm-hmm.
back of your blade clean, and keeping those inside angles clean. We talked about that when we were up there.
Yep.
So the new concept that was birthed out of this Fresco Harmony adventure in Illinois was, oh, we could, if somebody was able to wrangle a whole house where they're doing Fresco Harmony on a whole house, how cool would it be to utilize that project as a training.
Yeah.
And then people could actually get paid to come and train and learn how to do fresco harmony. The whole teach a man to fish
Yeah.
philosophy, or a woman, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of what's happened here out west. We've got I think we've talked about it enough now, but Cam and Chad and Teak and the Gilbert girls, you and I will finish that house. And then once we get back from the designer about the scope, we don't know how much fresco is going into it, but we know there's fresco going into it. So now we've got all of those people and they're going to learn how to do fresco. It just
Right.
makes sense, right? And it doesn't have to just be a Fresco Harmony site, the entire thing like Illinois. We can finish the house
Yes.
and then we can
So
fresco it.
I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. So, birthed from this great Fresco Harmony adventure project in Illinois, and to just back up, and maybe, not everybody knows about what happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
Sean and Chad reached out to you. Chad
We
had a
talk a
big
lot. Yeah, we talk a lot.
Chad, Chad Hesher of Hesher Drywall had a big commercial project and Chad's came down here and did Fresco Harmony training. So I think that's why he had a good foundation for Fresco and was able to go back to Illinois and start selling it, because I think there's something about being around it. Like Cam came down here. We hung out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of footage, and I was like, right, on some of it I was right there with him, but I was like, threw him right to the dogs, like,
Yeah.
do some work, dude. Coming down here, we're gonna work. This isn't about like taking the Breaking Bad tour or something. We're gonna be doing
Mm-hmm.
fresco. Somebody comes down here, but you can take that model and go anywhere with it. And it was really Chad that took the initiative and reached out to you. You're like, hell yeah, I want to come down there and do some fresco harmony. And then you reached out to Cam. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, it becomes three people that are proficient with fresco harmony. And then Meek out. And then I was like, well, Cam's an influencer, Sean's an influencer, Chad's an influencer. Now you guys are, I mean, you've grown,
Mm-hmm.
exponentially in the last year. Like it would be stupid for me to not go up there and surprise these guys, and we all do fresco harmony and have some fun. Plus I wanted to hang out with you guys anyways.
Well, I mean, and with you there, I got way better at it. Like what fresco is such a great thing because like you said, anybody can put it on the wall and get what they want to get out of it, but there is a
Right.
like professional level of applying fresco where the lines are clean, there's no lap marks, there's no like chattering
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
tools. Like there are certain things that make a big difference, and that if a designer were to see a beginner and somebody at that level, they would obviously choose the professional, right? But
And
it
stop
doesn't
me if
take
I'm wrong.
long.
It's a couple little tweaks.
It's tiny,
Like
tiny
like
things.
because you already are proficient with mud. You're
That's right.
familiar with the medium. You know how to thin it down. You know blade angle. Like we
Mm-hmm.
know all these intrinsic things. So for me, that didn't occur to me. It was like, oh, it's easy. It's colored mud. You throw it on the wall. But I've done 1 million square feet of this shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to me that these little these little tweaks don't occur to somebody out of the gate. They've never used color joint compound. And so that aspect is sort of a revelation to me. We're always learning all the time, which is another cool aspect about colored mud. Why not take your skill to the next level? But of this concept, when we were in Illinois, you had the idea of, and we were talking about it because I was on the hook with Umbrella. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, you should hook up with Umbrella. I've talked to their contractor. He's got a whole house, dude. You should go help those dudes. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
come up there maybe for, $1,000 a day or whatever. I'll come up and run like 3-4 days worth of trainings. He kind of liked the idea, but maybe he was a little gun shy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened with that yet.
I ended up
Maybe it
going
will.
down to one of his sites and I ran the auto taper for a day for him. And we like attacked
For
this
Nick,
house.
is his name Nick?
Yeah. Yeah. It's he's a hell of a finisher. And he's got his own process that
I'll bet.
is very different than what I would do, but it works.
Okay.
It really works. So we ran all of the flats, butts, and angles with the auto taper, then installed all of the corner bead in the house, and then ran the butts in a day. Like he's got it figured out.
Wow. Okay,
Um,
so he's good.
yeah, yeah, I was really impressed. Now he talked about that fresco site that he did, and they ended up like shrinking down the scope of it. I think everybody wants to just see it first, right? Get it in a
Yeah,
room that's actually
I think
lit
it's
at a customer's
smart.
house. Yeah,
No,
it's
I think it's smart. There's a process to sales too, where it's like, don't go and like start selling it out of the gate. The process that I have for people is I'll send you a free sample pack. I give you enough sealer to just do a sample
mhm,
because there's a couple reasons for that. It's because I want you to take it from base coat, second coat, and sealer and make your own sample. We don't send out sample boards because who the fuck made this sample?
yeah,
Like you have to make the sample, you have to mix the mud, and it also shows initiative. If somebody really wants to do it, they're going to make a damn sample. Now
that's
you've
right.
got a physical thing that you can show somebody. Well, I still don't think it's time to sell. I think
Mhm.
that people need to do a wall in their own house, like you did. You started doing little walls, and you and Foz were like doing
Yep.
all kinds of crazy, busy stuff, and
Yeah,
having fun, and
that's
which
it.
was cool. You guys
That's
were
it.
like really vetting the material. And then after that, I think on the CSR job, maybe, or when after we went to Canada, which was another pretty cool adventure, you were like, oh, okay, this is production, man.
Yeah.
You just keep it simple and do walls and make money.
I
Like
I
that's it.
I enjoyed the artistic way that you can put up fresco. And then when we went out to Canada, or when we went out west and I saw it used the way that you use it, I was like, this is awesome. It just wasn't what I was expecting, I guess. Like it really is. It gives you all the things you're looking for when you're trying to do two colors at once. You do get that depth. You do get different colors when you're using the
Yeah,
same one with
yeah.
the highs and the lows and all of that
It's
stuff, right?
subtle though. It's more subtle. When I started doing fresco, that's where the swirl came from. I was like, how do I get multicolor? It didn't occur to me that you can get multicolor from one coat
Mm-hmm.
during the application process, just like plaster. When you get multiple colors and color variation from plaster, it's all the application. Put it on, take it off. They got the little trowel. you're
Mm-hmm.
moving you're moving the medium, you're working it, and you got to work with some plaster
Yep.
with Chad,
It would
and again, Chad was like, hey man, are you gonna get mad if I use this Portillo stuff? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Use
yeah.
Portillo, use Marmarino, use Venetian plaster, use diamond finish, use Fresco Harmony. Why the fuck wouldn't you offer all of these different finishes? But for me to say like one finish is better than the other, it's not. These are all different, and they all expand your knowledge of mediums in the trade. They're all extremely valuable.
Well, and I got a crash course in texture when I was down there because Chad really is a master of texture because he does them all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He doesn't look at, oh, this has to be Venetian, oh, this has to be fresco, oh, this has to be Roman clay. He takes a look at what the customer wants and goes, I can do that out of this. I could do that out of that. I can, why don't I make you up some sample boards? You can take a look, and whatever you want is what I'll provide you. And he's a humble person. There was always this kind of stigma with plaster guys where it's like, if you don't do it and you haven't been trained, don't touch it. It's ours and all that shit. With Chad, he was like, yeah, you want to play with some? I got a whole rack of it. So
Yeah.
we did a Venetian plaster sample, and then we went and did that Roman clay
Mm-hmm.
bathroom. We
Yep.
watched him do that fireplace in Venetian,
Right.
and I don't know, man, I wasn't overly impressed. Like, I mean, I'm impressed with it because it's nice. But it's just
But that's
different. It's
also
not better.
that's besides the point. Chad can offer Portillo, and
Hmm.
he'll have clients that see these other products advertised in a certain way, and then he can be like, "Oh yeah, I could do that."
Hmm.
I also have Fresco over here for half price.
Yep.
This is what the sample looks like. Here's what your Venetian plaster sample looks like. Maybe it's a little more money, but it's kind of shiny. A lot of people want that shinier look. I have
Hmm.
nothing against any other of the finishes. My criticism comes from uh, people that maybe don't try Fresco Harmony and put it down without, contempt prior to investigation type of attitude. And it's like, dude, if you haven't tried it, I don't want your feedback.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You don't know what it does. You don't know what the sealer does, any of that.
When I talk, when I was talking to that designer about the out west job, I was like, she kept saying plaster, and I said, "Are you heart set on plaster, or do you know what fresco is?" And then we talked about it for a minute, and I said, "Now you're not going to get that like shiny glass finish from the fresco, because I don't have any experience making it look like that." And she went, "No, I don't
Right.
want that. I don't
Right.
want that. I want nice subtle walls that have texture to them, that are flat." And she fell in love with the product, right? I think
Right.
when you talk to her back and forth a little bit more, I don't think she'll use Venetian again, to
Well,
be
it's
honest.
it's the predominant feedback and what I've been seeing also lately is that a lot of these plaster systems have a matte earthen system. Like they all have it. They all have this earthen system or micro cement. It's all, and every time I see that, I think to myself, oh, well, you get the same look from Fresco, from
Yeah.
colored mud. Save yourself, $100 a pail and just use colored mud, and you already use mud, so you're gonna have a much better experience with the product. And it's easy to get. You've already got the mud on site. You order a color pack from CSR or the website or wherever, GWI. We're in enough places now where you can get it,
Mm-hmm.
and you or at least try that system.
Yeah.
Use our sand finish to create a micro cement type look. That micro cement is no walk in the park. I've talked to
No.
people that have done it. It's very difficult. And the product is expensive.
So
So
talking about that micro cement, when I was doing that contract work, running sites, I was still down the road from CSR. It was like 15 minutes. And Brad reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, are you around?" And I was like, "Kind of." He's like, "Well, can you come in and talk to this guy?" And I went in there. He said he's got a 20-foot tall fireplace. They want micro cement, but Brad told me to take a look at the fresco.
right.
So I went out 2 days later to his shop, and we mixed up the sand into, I don't think it was Merriman beige, but it was the same kind of color.
Okay.
It actually may have been Merriman beige. It doesn't
And
matter.
just for the listeners, we have a 28-ounce container just full of a fine sand. It's
Yeah.
basically it's a fine silica sand
Yeah. You want to
that
make
you
sure it's
mix that you
sifted.
add in.
Yeah. And then when it's sifted and it's all the same, you don't get those drag marks of bigger particle, like bigger pieces. Um,
Right.
you see people talking about playground sand, but it's like, oh, you're gonna wish you didn't do that.
Yeah, it's too coarse.
Yeah,
It's
you
too
got
coarse.
big drags and shit.
And I didn't know
Um,
that either, that there's different coarsenesses of silica sand.
yep.
So just be aware, we use the finest silica sand. You can buy a bag of that shit for $20. I mean,
Yep.
I sell a container for $10 on my website. CSR sells sand.
Hmm.
It's one unit of sand mixed in with a color pack and a box of mud, and you've got micro cement, basically. Am I wrong?
Well, and I mean, when people are saying, "Oh, he's selling sand," no, he's selling you the appropriate amount of sand per box. Right? Like you've done all the thinking throughout this whole product, right? Like
Just yeah.
just put it in
Try
the
that's for
fucking
people to
bucket.
try. That's
Yeah.
for people to try so you don't have to have a bag of sand sitting in your garage for 2 years that you
Yeah.
didn't use.
Like Chad's got a dog food bag of
Yeah.
sifted sand. I'm like, the fuck
Yeah.
is that? He's like,
I had a
placenta.
bag of marble dust in my studio forever. This heavy marble dust. I'd move it from one corner to the other, and it's like I didn't need it. Try it out. And then if you get a job where you need 20 units or whatever, even if I was doing a job with that I was using 5 color packs, I would still buy the individual unit of sand just so I
Totally.
wouldn't have to buy all that extra sand.
Um, so anyways, when I went there and I showed him on one of the walls in his office, um, we'll make you the same. He has a sample board of micro cement, and we took a look
Okay.
at it and we were like, yeah, man, I could do that. And then we
Okay.
came in, no prep. straight to the wall, no sanding. And the next day we went back and he's like, this is the same. This is the same.
Okay.
And it took you one coat to do this. And I'm like, yeah, you do a
Right.
second coat and seal it and you're off to the races, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now with the sand, normally you could the sand is a little bit different because we did there's a company here that did a full house in the sand and they
Right.
sprayed the base coat. So you could roll out without even troweling. You could roll out like a base coat of Merriman beige. You'd still kind of want to trowel it out flat, I think, because the sand allows the mud to set up.
Yeah.
And then if you noticed when you trowel out that second coat, it lays down beautifully.
Yeah.
And then your sealer comes in and just smooths it out. It's really cool. It's a cool system.
Yeah. I mean, if I could go back, I would have said to spray that first coat because it gives you all those little crevices for the sand to kind of catch to. And then you end up with
Right.
a flat coat, your second coat.
Right.
It's almost like stucco, right? Where
Right.
the granules are different sizes. Well,
Yeah.
when you spray it and it's bumpy like that, it's perfect. It's perfect for catching the
Right,
yeah,
right. So then your second coat like sits up on that sprayed base coat, dude.
exactly.
They did these ballers did a 5,000 square foot house. I'm talking like the closets, everything. 5,000 square feet, big ass ceiling. Parade of Homes house here in New Mexico, all in
Jesus.
Merriman beige. They went through probably 70 boxes of mud, 30 gallons of sealer. So all their time was into the and they would sand that second coat. So they would put the second coat on. So they sprayed the house in a half a day.
Yeah.
Like done. And then the whole time was spent smoothing out the second coat as much as possible and then doing the sealer. So that was the further 9 days. Took them 9 days, dude. And they had
5,000 board feet.
a micro cement looking 5,000 square foot home. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that because it's not efficient to use micro cement on 5,000 square feet. You're going to be on the house for 3 months.
Yeah.
Builder can't take that long. So that's the problem with plaster: expense, time consuming. That's where you want to finish. If you're doing volume, you want something that goes on fast and efficiently and isn't going to bust the bank. You can do a house for $2,000 in
Mm-hmm.
Fresco Harmony. Who gives a shit if you're buying a $10 quart of sand? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, those boys, he asked me, where do you get the sand? I'm like, go to New Mexico Plaster Supply and buy a bag of 60 industrial 60 sand. That's all I'm using. Boom.
Yeah.
They had a thing of sand. They had a scooper. Each batch, they would add 28 ounces of silica sand, and they were off to the races. He probably tripled his profit margin on that house.
Yeah. I would think
And
so.
and the builder, I have a relationship with the builder, so he sees the value in it. Like this guy ain't even selling it. The contract, I'm just making him money.
I'm excited for this trip out west because we've got a designer involved. And so we're gonna get like real life. What do you think about it? And she's gonna love it.
Right, right.
She's gonna
Well,
love it.
so Aaron gave me, and that's a good point, and I want to get back to how we went from Illinois to the Great Rocky
Mm-hmm.
Mountain Adventure, as you're calling it.
Yeah.
So Sean had the foresight to be like, we need to do this. We need to duplicate this model of friends getting together that know how to do drywall and do a whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through that. So then how did you hook up with, it's Tish, right?
Hisham.
Hisham.
So everybody
And
likes,
and wait, Hisham works for Columbia, right? So
yeah.
Hisham's an employee of Aaron's, but he's got money, whatever. He's building a big ass house.
Yeah. So it's for his
And
parents.
one question that, oh, it's for his parents. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why the fuck? Why is he working at Columbia?
Right. Actually, we passed that house when we were out there in June.
Okay.
On the way from, I guess, the airport. No, wherever we met up with you, wherever that was, we drove in the one day and there was that empty space. And Aaron was like, you know what? That's where Hish's parents' place is going to be built. Wouldn't it be cool
Okay.
to finish it?
Okay.
And
So
you know,
Aaron, it was Aaron's idea.
yeah. Yeah. So
We'll cut. Hey, we'll cut that part
we'll
out. It
cut
was
that
really
out. Yeah.
it was our idea.
We'll say it's your idea and then everyone will know. Like you
Doesn't
so
matter. Doesn't
what
matter.
when Aaron said that we should finish that house, you could almost hear Cam's tail wagging from the back seat. You know what I mean? Or it was like, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we all should do that. So then
Okay.
it just disappeared. It disappeared for like 6 months or whatever. We did the
Okay.
Illinois job, and when the Gilbert girls were out there, the last go of it, I think Aaron brought it up again, and he called me after we got back from Illinois, and he was like, "So I know we kind of goofed around about it, but what do you think about building a team and doing it?" And
Okay.
that was kind of that moment where everything
Yeah.
clicked because I was like, we already have a team. Like
Right.
the Gilbert girls were in from day one. Teak was very clear to me that the next thing we do, she had to be a part of, which
Okay.
I'm very excited about. And Chad and Cam and I I don't think there will be one of these without those two. I think
Okay.
that's a long term. We're going to be doing this. I'd like to do it every other month, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And
with
so, okay, and then it's not just you're flying out to Surrey, British
right.
Columbia from fucking Toronto. Like somebody would think you're nuts. Like, why would you fly across the country to do a drywall project when you can just do drywall projects in your own backyard? So take me through that process and also why, like, how the concept for starting to wrangle the sponsorship, which is also
Yeah.
brilliant. Now all of a sudden we're not just doing a vignette of a room, we're
Hmm.
really taking Tool Pro benches, trim tex
Yep.
products, USG mud, and we're getting, not only are we getting the sponsorship, but we're building this fucking in-house reality TV show where we're
Honestly.
using these products and busting a house. We're getting paid, and how
Yeah.
cool is that? What
Nobody
a smart idea.
nobody's out of pocket on this, and I like that. Um,
Yeah.
we got to fly ourselves in, and we're going to be paid to do it. There's a lot of back end stuff that I'm doing that's turning out to be free, and I like that because I want everybody. We're doing it as a team, and that's just what I'm very good at. So
Okay.
I took the reins on that because on the other end of it, what is Aaron supposed to do? Manage a project on top of
Well,
running a
Aaron
company on
can't
top
manage
of
it. Anybody that's
it's too
making a
much.
product can't really manage
Yeah.
something like this. It actually requires a team leader.
Yeah.
So and you're naturally good at that. So that's like your
It's
wheelhouse.
the thing I'm best at. Yeah.
So it was a good fit all the way around. And then
Yeah. I mean, so then
invite
sorry, go ahead.
so you invited the Gilbert girls, Teak. We got Chad. Uh,
I think Aaron had already talked to the Gilbert girls because they were in before I even got to them, which was great.
okay, okay,
And I think this one is kind of brought to you by Columbia Tools, you know.
okay. So what's the incentive for the Gilbert girls?
Just to work with us, I think.
Okay,
I think that's what makes the most sense as to why. But I don't know if everybody gets it now, but this has never happened before. And
no,
the tool companies are starting to figure that out too.
no,
You
and
know,
I mean, Aaron and I right away were like, yes, this is a great opportunity. I mean, I would love to turn it into a Fresco Harmony training.
yeah,
I think we're at this stage in the game. I mean, cool to do Fresco Harmony whole houses. It's my product. It's what I
totally.
fucking do, obviously. But I mean, I think I'd just go up there and hang out with you guys and just like run the freaking bazooka and shit and just have some fun, working with a bunch of ballers and social media influencers. Like that's fun in its own right.
And I mean, when you're talking about what do people get out of it,
Yeah.
you're also going to have Cam and Chad there that are like masters of the auto tools. So if you're not like if Teak, for instance, has never run the auto taper before, when she leaves that site, she's going to have
Yeah.
a real good idea on how
Yeah.
to do it. She'll be comfortable with it. Same with the
Oh
boxes.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
if you've not been running boxes for a long time, you've got people in there that use them fucking almost every day.
Right.
right? And then you'll have Aaron who makes them on site going,
Right.
oh, you know what? It's probably the blade. It's probably this, is, and then we
Plus,
can
I
tweak.
think Trimtex is sending it now.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are talking about possibly using some specialty bead,
Yeah.
right? Like not just your regular corner bead. And that stuff, having known from experience, is there's a learning curve there too.
Yep.
I feel like anytime there's a learning curve with one of these newer products, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do regular square corner bead or just regular round or whatever. And it's like, no, 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 man. You take 5 seconds, learn how to use a chop saw, and you can make these cool step bowl or inside inverted. What's that bead called? It's like inside 90.
Yeah, it's like an inverted 90-degree corner. So we're going to use them on all the bulkheads.
So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and to what you just said, a lot of guys see these specialty beads and they're like, they're stupid. Oh, they're hard. No, they're not. You're just not like I walked into specialty beads as a carpenter.
Right.
So I can,
Right.
yeah, I understand a fucking compound miter saw and you just fly with it
Yeah.
because you understand mathematics, you understand angles. Like it's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
difficult process, but like Joe Blow down the road is a drywall finisher and has never used a fucking miter saw before. Of course, it's going to
Yeah.
be a learning curve, but that's why you charge extra for things like that. Or do some at your house, like figure it out. You
Yeah,
don't just bash.
or you give the first one away. I mean, I
Totally.
gave that house that you saw, the Venetian corner by Fresco Harmony. I did an entire house in step bowl. I had
Yeah.
never done it before, but I was like, yeah, how hard could it be? It was hard. I didn't charge any extra for it.
Wow.
Lots of extra, I mean, I think that whole job, I was at 250 a square foot, dude, hang finish Fresco Harmony, and we just busted it out. But what I learned, I took to the next project where
That's
we
right.
did step bowl on the whole thing. I flew through that one. And I mean, the whole house fresco, the whole house specialty corner beads, so cool,
Hmm.
and
You need to
now I
repost
could
that.
just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was that was 8 years ago that I
Yeah.
did that project, just crazy. So the point being, I think, stop me if I'm wrong, Trimtex is sending out like a corner bead specialty dude. You got a guy on site that's like can help you with the cuts or whatever, or, come in for a day and show you all the tricks you need to know to learn how to use specialty Trimtex bead. How cool is
Um,
that?
so Trimtex is sending someone, but it's a multimedia person. So I think
Okay.
Adriana is coming out, and she's going to do just videos and marketing and hang out for a couple of days. And then oddly enough, she's coming back to Ontario, it sounds like, to hang out with some friends or see family or something. But it's, I don't think any of us, it's outside of our wheelhouse to use those specialty beads. Chad right now is doing a house in all specialty bead, right? I've done tons.
When my interview with Joe Koenig over a year and a half ago, they started to just not make it anymore
Mhm,
because it was losing steam. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That stuff is so cool. And nobody's using it. I mean, they had like the Drywall Artist of the Year competition, and these dudes were busting. I talked to Myron, got into it, Myron Ferguson. People were liking it. I think that it was having success. People were digging it,
mhm,
but it goes back to the sales potential, like this, that where drywallers just get hung up on like change or
mhm.
trying something new or using that chop saw. And it's like, dude, there's so much there. Go in and look at the Trimtex. They have a specialty corner bead section of their website and catalog where you can look at all these cool chamfer and
Yep.
all of the crown molding stuff.
And I mean, it's crazy because some people are going to be listening to this and have no idea that that's even stuff, right? And
Yeah.
when I talk
Any
to,
designer or builder that you talk to does not know that Trimtech
yeah,
specialty corner bead exists. Any builder.
I'm having Trimtex send this designer out a kit that's like,
Right.
this is all of our stuff. Touch it, you know, take a look at it. Here are the pictures of it done. Here's the catalog, because she had no
Yep.
idea. And I said,
Yep.
when you're not hiring, you know, Uncle John's drywall finishing, like these are some of the best finishers in North America that are coming in. Let's do something cool. Like, what do you want this
Right.
to look like everything else for? Why? There's no reason for
Right.
that. So
That's
let's go.
sales.
Let's
That's
go.
sales. We're educating the designer, and not to be pompous or anything, but if they don't know that there's a color compound system, if they don't know that there's these cool specialty corner beads or
Yep.
shadow beads or this cool shit that you can do with like LED lights and put down around the baseboard or whatever,
Yep.
they're
Up the
not going to
stairs, we're
do it.
doing it.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 20-foot staircase. And I don't know, it's going to come down to, you know, probably money, to be honest, because you don't
Yeah.
want to do every stair. It's too much. And you don't want to do every fourth stair because it's not
No, you
enough.
do like you do the all the treads going down. You just shine the down,
Oh, yeah.
you do just do the every other
Mm.
tread, with a little beam of light instead of maybe a recessed, sometimes they have the little recessed light coming out of the wall.
And they're a nightmare to put in because when you put those recessed lights in, you've got to finish them. But the very top of the light is almost plastic still. Like you cannot screw that up. It's got to be perfect. And then you've got to set the lights. And then once they're in there, if they break, you got to tear the whole thing out. Like it's a headache to do that. At least the ones that we had in that Toronto job, it like took like a month. Took like a month.
Okay. So the stage is set.
Yep.
We have a date. It's in January. It's coming up.
Yeah. We're looking at the third week of January.
Okay, so you've got basically a week. People, ballers coming in to do this
Mm-hmm.
project. That seems like a pretty short amount of time for a large house.
It
Granted,
is.
there's extra finishers,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna be, or you guys are gonna be humping. I
Yeah.
would love to. I would love to like jump on like some of the corner bead stuff with like you. It'd be
Yep.
really fun.
I think
Like
so.
I had a ball putting that trim on. I really did. It was
It's
fun.
fun.
Like
I think
it's
that
fun.
stuff's fun.
The
Um,
glue, you got the glue and the staple gun, and I mean it's just a ball to put on. So I would love to jump on that with like if two people were tag team in the
yep.
specialty corner bead, like that would be a lot of
Cool.
fun. But what is your okay, so I guess like, okay, whatever. Like, I've talked a lot about strategy. Um, I guess moving forward with
Mm-hmm.
the project, what is your goal or what do you see occurring from this? And I mean, obviously Aaron's getting some advertising,
Yep.
people are getting advertising and stuff like that, but where would you like to see all of this go?
There's a couple of good questions in that. As a business person, my strategy is waiting for the full scope, and then I'm going to put together like a schedule, and then we're just going to
Okay.
stick to the fucking schedule, and because
Okay.
that's how you're successful. On a personal kind of look at it, I'm coming in 3 days early. It sounds like Chad's going to be there 3 days early, and depending on
Okay.
timing, so is Cam. And we're going
Okay.
to get in, do all of our pre-fill, and then get started on the beads. That elevator shaft is only 6 by 7 or something, so you can't get two people in there. So
Okay.
Chad's gonna fire tape that all out in that weekend. We're gonna get
Okay.
the staircase started in that weekend, just so when we're running up and down the stairs because we're hanging out and having a good
You getting a
time.
Zunder? You gonna get Chad on a Zunder banjo in there?
Yeah, right. No, Aaron's gonna check all of our luggage like the people at the airport and take everything that doesn't say Columbia out. Just joking, Aaron. Just joking,
Gonna
buddy.
vet the tool. Anything that's non-Columbia, don't even bother. It's gonna get sent back.
um, yeah, I mean, company wise, I think we're right where I wanted this one to be. You know, Trimtex is involved. USG wants to get involved. Tool Pro wants to get involved. Columbia's obviously involved. Fresco Harmony's involved. That's a big step in the right direction from where we
Yeah.
came from in Illinois. And then once this is this enormous success where everybody had fun, just like Illinois, Now it's out into the universe. Where do we want to do
Yeah.
it again? Do we go see
Now
its
you were talking about Megs a little bit, but
Mhm.
are you prepared at this point in time? I certainly am to throw out like if you guys are thinking about doing a full house Fresco Harmony project, if your builder doesn't know about it, uh, we can come to your area
Mhm.
and offer this service. I don't know what that looks like if like we were talking like let's say Sean Ramsden goes to Florida to work with XYZ subcontractor, drywall contractor, what that looks like monetarily. But this is a an offer that we're throwing out that could bolster your skills and we would have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So on your next whole house project, maybe we start pitching some of these
Yeah.
ideas and you've got ballers ready to come down and work with you. We have a lot of fun. Maybe the profit margin isn't through the roof, but now you have these new skill sets that you can take to the next builder.
So I think Illinois did it right. We pulled in, Chad handed us basically half up front, which now you got professionals that aren't worried about money. Um, all of the accommodations were paid for in Illinois, right? We had a place to stay, we had meals, and then just a daily rate. I think that's
Right.
the
Okay.
easiest way to do it. So if somebody was
Okay.
smart, they would
Right.
pick up a huge fresco site and bring a couple of people in that are very good at it at a daily rate, and
Right.
then figure out what the days look like. And if they
Well, and
suck,
that's a selling point to the builder because it's like, hey, we can do a whole house in Fresco Harmony. You can get
mhm,
essentially a Venetian plaster looking finish in your entire house, and not only that, not only you're going to get it at maybe a good rate because it's the first one that we've done, but the owner of the company is going to come in
yeah,
and a couple other dudes. It's not going to affect your time schedule on the project. They're going to take my crew through the whole thing. So
yeah,
now we could do this finish into the future and do multiple projects for you. That's a
yeah.
no-brainer.
Because this is not about us flying in and taking over projects moving forward. This is about us flying in, making sure everybody's doing it properly, they're comfortable with it, they understand the product, and then go do the next one by yourself,
And
right?
shit talk and shit
And
talking.
tons of shit talking. Yeah,
not to
absolutely.
not to not to not to belittle the extremely funny amount of shit talking that occurs when we're there.
um, the other part of this is that, like, at some point, for instance, when I was in Illinois, the three of us, our views and our stories and our engagement went through the fucking roof. And
Yeah.
the Hollywood is a cool place. We love
Yeah.
it, but they're not going to get people going to Illinois to drink there from anywhere else. You know what I mean? But
Right.
if you are a builder that has a presence on social media, you're going to get that enormous spike in views and content and all
Dude,
those
that
types of
this is
things.
this is such a good point because another dude that does so not Dave Clark with DC2 drywall. He's a cool dude though.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Napa Valley, which is primo area for this shit. There's a he's getting another drywall dude on board, but what I do is I reach out to the owner of CRC Builders,
Yeah.
and I'm like, hey, dude, we're working on this thing. You get the drywall guy. We'll come in for X amount. Napa Valley, dude, they don't care. It's really like it's like New York or it's really high end, higher margins on your rates.
Yeah.
Uh, he would be down with. I think he would be down with that because he's already done it in his showroom. It's like yeah, come on up. Let's like talk because he's doing nothing but like large cool houses.
It yeah, I mean, the the other part of this whole thing is, you want to get into doing Fresco Harmony, that's great. By the time we leave, everybody's comfortable with it. But you also get to meet people, you get to kind of do some back and forthing with people too. Like if Cam's on your site and you're not talking to him about running an auto taper, you are missing out on a excellent um possibility there. Like
Yeah, or Aaron.
or Aaron. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to travel around. I imagine he'll make some like special guest appearances at some of
Oh,
these sites
totally.
because they're going
Totally.
to be
Why not?
sweet, man. Yeah.
They're going to be fun. They're going to be sweet. The tools, I think that I think once this grows in energy, I think the tool companies will be clamoring to get their tools involved. It just seems smart.
Hmm.
Uh, you know,
And I mean, the ones
like
that don't want to get involved with it, they're I don't know, man. I think down the road they're going to wish they had.
I don't think I just think there's marketing potential, like all the way
There's
around.
tons.
There's a
There's
really good
tons.
marketing potential. So that's my
And it's
okay. Well,
it, it's an investment too, right? For a company to go, okay, like we talked about this when we were in Illinois, where yeah, daily rate, this and that. And you were like, well, how do I get down there? Um, for X amount daily rate, the guy that invented the stuff will come down too. Um, and
right.
I mean, it would be foolish not to do that. Like,
Well, my competitors, considering my competitors, so I'm a plaster company. I charge you $1,000 or $1,500 to fly your ass to Albuquerque, take a training for a week. I show you whatever. You make these little samples that don't do shit, and then I send you back with nothing.
yeah,
Versus, no, 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 no. I come to your town. I find a place to stay. You pay me
hmm,
$1,000 and I'm on the job that you've already sold in Fresco Harmony. I'm going to help you sell the job. There's a built-in monetary value system. It's a win-win.
yeah.
I'm selling you product. You're making money off of that product. And I'm there showing you how we can bust this whole house. That is a no-brainer.
And I mean, the other thing that this opens up to is when people reach out to Fresco Harmony on your page, website, because of the podcast, whatever, you don't have to turn them down anymore. Where I've got a massive site across the country. I think the knee jerk reaction a few years ago
Yeah.
would have been like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not fucking doing that. Well, now you're like, yeah, and I got a crew. We can do that.
Yes. And that has come up in the past where I have had builders not even bat an eye about, they're like, how much would you charge to come out here? I'm like, I don't know, $2,000. They're like, that's no big deal, man. Don't
Mhm.
even sweat it. It hasn't happened, but that's still like small amount of incentive.
Yeah.
If I could come out to that same job and hang out with Chad, Cam, and Sean, well, why not? You know,
Well, and now it turns into the next thing that we're just fucking around on. Like, and I
yeah,
don't I don't mean fucking around
yeah,
work wise, but there's nothing but fun. Cam and I stayed in a fucking trailer for a week and had
yeah.
nothing but a blast. My abdomen hurt from laughing so much that
Oh
week.
yeah, oh
Like
yeah.
we had a great time and we killed it. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know typically what that square footage would have taken somebody but it wouldn't have been 3 days, it wouldn't have been four
Well, it's
days.
30 color packs at 150 square feet per color pack. So you're at, 3,000, 4,500
Mm-hmm.
square feet, something like that.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, for Jack's fast. That's 2 weeks on his own, but we would
Yeah.
like work like 4 hours. And, the class came in from Chad's
Yeah.
daughter's entrepreneurial class came in and we got to talk to them. There's a lot of social media stuff around the Illinois project.
Mm-hmm.
We did the whole thing in Galtiero Steel. I got to talk to the owner about design and some of the benefits of Fresco Harmony, why it's important to do that. She was all about design, super cool
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, man. This next year is going to be something else.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it.
it's hard to believe that 1 year ago Brad with CSR didn't know. I went to the Black Friday event, like just shooting from the hip.
That's that.
My my neighbor was like, "Oh, if you're going to," I was like, "I'm going to go out to Toronto," you know, and during Thanksgiving's a big deal in the United States. Like during Thanksgiving, leave family, go to Toronto where it's cold as shit,
Mm-hmm.
and show up at this weird Black Friday event that CSR is having with a bunch of tool companies and things, and set up a little booth. Shout out to CSR. Brad like put me front and center.
Yep.
He had people that were interested in seeing what I was up to. I got to show my wares. All these dudes like checked it out. People liked it,
Yep.
and he ordered product. I think it was less than a month after that we had product in CSR. I flew back out to do a training,
Yep. That was in
and
February.
and then I met you, or we met. I think we met at the Black Friday event, but
Yeah,
you
we
know,
met pretty quick at the Black Friday event. You and I had already been talking because of the podcast, like your podcast. And
yeah,
then I was like, holy shit, I've never met Aaron. I've never met Nick. I'm going to go to this Black
yeah,
Friday thing. I have to
yeah,
be there. And
yeah,
then that sparked this whole thing.
yeah,
I wouldn't have my podcast. I wouldn't be doing the adventures. I wouldn't be doing any of this stuff if it wasn't for that Black Friday event.
yeah.
That that
I
changed
knew,
everything.
and I felt like I knew it was like something special when I was there. I was like, this is unbelievable. And I can't believe that I'm here. I'm still super gracious to CSR for opening their
Same.
doors and like really putting it out there for a product like mine that nobody's ever heard of. And it's like, what is this stuff? I know it works, but like me convincing a drywaller that it works, it's just a nightmare. And
Well,
and everybody, and then you guys being cool and like pushing through those initial challenges to learn.
mhm,
Like Cam's so open. Like he came down here and he just jumped on it. And there was a learning curve for him too. He's a good finisher. And
yeah.
like there was a learning curve, and he went back and started selling it. And so, that opened the door. Now all of a sudden I have like these influencers that are kind of like, oh yeah, this stuff works. It's
Yeah.
not, this isn't like that big a deal.
In my opinion, that's our job. Like I hate the word influencer. Well, Cam and I say content creator,
Right,
but
right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're wearing CSR gear and you're getting benefits from them, and like some of the guys are paid, like when they have new products launching, that's your job to get people seeing it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they have the product available. You need to show the product. That's what it is. And now I think we're starting to see that more and more, especially at this house out west, right? It's
Yep.
CSR sending tons of buckets. Brad's coming.
Yeah.
Um, that's huge. And then we're gonna do
Yeah.
Fresco.
That's a big
It's
deal.
yeah, I think so.
And I think with the underlying premise, and I can't drive this home hard enough, that we all need to support each other.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not some dude from, a corporate guy that got all this money from his dad that makes a product in China, or I'm the nephew of some CEO. This is all blood, sweat, and tears. And when
yeah,
people support people like me, that's a big deal, especially in the industry that I'm in. We all need to support each other.
yeah.
Like, and the podcast has done that. Your podcast has done that. I mean, we razz each other a little bit. There's a little bit of rivalry there, but
I love it.
there's so much space in the drywall community for like, and I want to use the word love,
Mm,
like, whether it's like, I get it. I get jealous when somebody's getting a bunch of likes, and or the girls are getting all these likes, and 100,000 followers. I got a fucking 1,800 followers.
Still
It's
more than
like,
me, buddy.
yeah, of course I get jealous. Of course I
Yeah,
get, of course I want like fame and fortune and all that stuff. And at the same time, I have to realize, man, and what's come to light for me is that I love hanging out with drywall dudes, man. And it took like that CSR event
yeah,
that shifted a lot for me, because I
same.
was like, I was over here being like Fresco Harmony guy, and I don't have anything to do with you guys, but I'm a fucking drywall finisher.
Hmm.
And I think there's a personality type that fits drywall finishing, where when we get around each other, there's always been that rivalry, but now I feel like we can turn that into like camaraderie, and
Totally.
that I think is the underlying premise of the Great Rocky Mountain Adventure, is this camaraderie in the trade that has never existed before.
And I mean, you touched on it a little bit there. Camaraderie, we're not against each other, everybody's supporting each other. You can take a look. And if you, I, for one, don't look at followers, don't look at likes, don't look at comments like I do if they're positive. If they're not, I don't delete them, but I don't look at them. I don't engage. But a couple of times, if somebody's really starting to rattle my cage a little bit with the way that they're acting online, I don't ever message them, but I'll go take a look at their page. And one in particular, you go to the reels section and there's a bunch of fucking zeros, which I didn't even know was a thing, that no one watches your comments. It's there very quickly in this community that we're building. People are like, do whatever you want, but we're not paying attention anymore. Right. There's all this
Right,
other cool shit over here that's going on.
right, right,
And
right.
guys are losing followers like crazy. It's you're getting a bad rep in this community. Um, I just mean everything is moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's an energy. I
yeah,
see it as an energy, whether you're like a girl or a guy or whatever. Really take a conscious look at how you're showing up on social media and what you are doing to support this community. And I'm saying this as somebody who loves to judge and put people down, and I have that same like drywall mentality as anybody, as the next person, really having to shift and open up. Somebody might not be like you, and but they do have something to offer, and we all share this cool trade called drywall. We
when
all have that in common.
I when I had Alice on, I guess a couple of weeks ago, um, yes, we both have podcasts, and yeah, that should be a rivalry if you weren't looking at things properly. What I told her was, I love having people on that have already been on yours because I get to skip over all that story. I get to skip over getting to know them. You get some talking topics, and then it's just a free conversation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then you just get to come hang out after. It's like the locker room after the concert. You know what I mean? If that makes
yeah.
sense.
I like
And
it.
and I fucking love it because it just skips over all that stuff. And it's the first time I meet people too. A lot of the
Right.
time I say, is there anything you don't want to talk about? Is there anything you do want to talk about? And we dive right into it.
Yeah.
You everybody gets to kind of be there for that first conversation with people. But if you had a closed mind, you'd be sitting there going, oh, I better get this person. Oh, we better do that. I better bash his fucking podcast. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's not it. And when people ask me about left and right, I say that mine is the younger degenerate brother to yours.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's a different thing. And it's in the same community. We all get along. I love it, man. I love everything
Yeah.
that's happened in this last year. This is a good
Pretty
recap
cool.
of the
It's
last
pretty
year.
cool. Yeah. 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 And also to solidify, we didn't know each other. I didn't know Cam until I interviewed him. I didn't know Aaron.
Yeah.
We all met up in Vegas at the Intex, the Build 23 show, which was a lot of fun. You guys didn't know Cam or
Nope.
Chad. Um, and we didn't know each other. Like I knew Cam, I knew Chad. I've been talking to Chad for several years, but how cool is that to like we all had this like OG meetup.
I was super excited to meet Cam. And I think if you go back and listen to that podcast we did in the morning before the show, that we really said that because I'm super excited to meet Cam. And then you go meet him and you get one of those big hugs and you're like, Yeah, this
Yeah.
guy's not going anywhere.
Uh-uh.
We're a team.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and then when the next thing comes out, we're going, yeah, okay, but what about like we're all coming,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Yeah.
it's cool. Chad was one of the big ones for me because I said this on the after podcast is Chad wasn't there because he has any sort of presence on Instagram. He's there because he works. Like his work brought him there. And then the fact that we stayed as buddies, stayed in touch, and then ended up working together, which then sprung this off. I mean, that's hard to
Well, he
miss,
came,
man.
but both him and Cam came and worked the booth.
Yeah.
Fucking, and I didn't pay him. I gave him product.
Yeah.
People think like these guys are throwing me like all kinds of dollars and shit. I don't have marketing dollars. I'm telling you right now.
But
These
there's no
guys come.
necessity for it. Look at
No,
what you've done here.
they come because they believe in the product and they
Yeah.
believe in what I'm up to. There's no better marketing than that. When people actually truly believe in what you're up to, they're going to support you in
Yeah.
that. It's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, I'm super excited for out west, man.
It's nice not having to stop at 30 minutes, isn't it?
It's yeah. It
I thought you might like that.
it's that is nice. I started that this morning, by the way, everybody. We're not going to do parts anymore. It's complicated. Nick was right. Nick was right.
Well, God, I had 30 minutes of Daniel Moody and I didn't hit record. It's just like you get into a modality. This
Yeah.
is for me when I do a podcast, you almost have one shot. I get into a modality and it's just gold. It's just gold and I can't break it or I can't, it's hard to start over.
Yeah.
I'm not as happy as I would have been with Dan. He's a still great interview. He's a great guy. But I mean, I'm human. I fuck up. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about 20 different things at once. And podcasting is, as you know, is not easy.
Yeah. You really got to like jump right into it because a lot of people have come on and the first 15 minutes is us talking before we start. And it's like, no, 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 no. You got to just dive right in, hit
Yeah,
record.
I don't do that like we
Yeah.
did on this one. I don't do that. I hit
Yeah.
record right away because
Yeah.
all of it's gold. And even that is some of that early stuff where we're getting to know each other. It like you get comfortable with the person. Glory and I had a pretty good buffer there at the beginning. She was like, maybe a little cautious, and
Mm,
I'm like funny and like kind of in your face, and shows, that set the tone for our 2-part podcast, and you can kind of hear that in the beginning that like hesitancy to, but as the podcast goes on, we get more comfortable and have a lot of fun.
I can't get enough of her either.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of those people that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get more content with her in it. I actually was thinking about doing like a monthly whatever or quarterly to have her back on and back on because it just went so
Yeah.
well. So when she launched
Yeah.
her own, I was like, that is an excellent idea. And she's into that LinkedIn crowd. That's the other whole part of this that I'm not talking about a
Sure.
whole lot is once now we're getting into designers. Now we're getting into bigger companies. They're going to see what we're doing here and go, why are we not doing this? These guys that charge us the same money that are a pain in the ass and they don't fucking show up and they don't want to come back to do their deficiencies and they keep gouging us on everything that they can. Look at these guys. They're, the great adventure guys. Why don't we have
Yeah.
them out here and do this? It'll all be
Yeah.
positive. It'll be fun. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to take off in a hell of a hurry. When we're done with this designer and she's happy, I'm going to have her comment that, like, put a review or whatever on my LinkedIn page. Because
There
why
you go.
not?
Yeah.
And then just start building it. It's going to be good, man.
Wait, give me one of these.
Oh, fucking, where'd you get the balloons from?
What are the balloons all? I didn't do the balloons.
I didn't do it either.
What the
That,
fuck is that?
That was really
Is that
funny.
congratulations? You made it an hour?
Yeah, they was maybe that is what it is. Maybe they were like, those
I've never
were
seen them. Let me
congratulations
see.
on not being a degenerate anymore.
The fuck? The fuck, dude. There's a balloon over your face.
Are
Right
you
when I went to
kidding?
take the
Are you
picture.
serious? Good. That's exciting stuff. That was super weird. I thought you did that.
No.
There's all sorts of extra things down here. Summary and AI companion. I can talk to myself on here. This might be the end of the whole podcast if I can just
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
have Siri tell me I'm great for an hour and a half. That'd be dope.
See, I got a good one here.
Nice.
How's that?
Very
I
good.
can't see it because I can't see. Dear God.
You're like, oh, it's a phone I'm holding. That's good. For
It's
anyone
okay.
watching, Nick is blind, and
You look
it's
kind
not his fault.
you look kind of funny without your mustache in
I
this
know,
one, but
right? I know.
yeah, let's do another one.
I was so tired of it getting in my food.
We could do straight face gangster.
Perfect.
That
For
might be
anybody
the one.
listening, that was awesome. Just in case you're wondering.
Might have to edit all of that. So you don't edit your
I'm not
podcast. You're
fucking
like, fuck it,
editing
throw it
this.
up.
No,
Okay.
I'm not doing that. I mean, for some of them, I had with Fozzie's, because there were definitely some comments back and forth that before it came out, it was a
Yeah.
different time by the time it came out. So I edited that one.
That's funny. Yeah,
But
I listened through all of them in their entirety, and then I'll even take out like pauses, long pauses, and things like that. I spend a lot of time on these things,
I know, buddy.
but it's like it's been so cool. It's been
This
so cool. Like
this
I haven't I could not have imagined like where a freaking drywall podcast would go like this. So cool.
those conversations of like, why are you doing a drywall podcast? Or like when Josh came on mine, the very first one, his wife was like, why would you do that? What are you going to talk about?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking drywall,
Drywall,
bitch.
bro. Yeah. What are you talking about? This shit's dope.
You're gonna have to cut that last part out.
Yeah.
Gloria, I didn't mean it. I was just joking. If you're
I think
watching, power to the women.
I
Power
think
to the
he,
women.
I think he meant it.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, it was good to talk
Um,
to you, man. It's
yeah,
always good to catch up.
this was a good one. I think there's a lot of good stuff here, man.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know about the Great Adventure, the Great Rocky Mountain Adventure, they can contact you or me, but I would
Mm-hmm.
put them in touch with you. What do you prefer? Just your email?
Just reach out to me on Instagram. That's
Yeah.
easy.
Okay.
If it's a
Yeah.
company looking to do stuff like that, it's Brawley's Deck Construction at Gmail. It's nice having emails from people that want work done because I can flag it. Everything's flagged green for that kind of stuff, so I could just go in and just see everything right away instead of scrolling through all the emails.
Okay.
Those flags, man, that's a big game changer. Same with tool company emails are all red, work emails are all purple. Like it just makes sense to do that with them. So
I use the flags I just use like one flag for orders that haven't gone out yet.
yeah,
And then
just
once they go out, I unflag them.
little
So
reminders.
they work good for that. Yeah.
So are you on any new platforms or anything like that? All the same.
Yeah. I do
Face.
go on LinkedIn a little,
Mm-hmm.
touch base there. I try to stay prevalent on Facebook, but mostly YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, not so much TikTok.
I deleted
I
it. I don't want it anymore. I don't care.
really,
I don't care. I don't care
yeah.
at all.
Well, I like to go on there, but it's more for like my own personal entertainment, and then
Yeah.
I'll like other drywallers stuff is all,
Mm-hmm.
and then I love watching the videos. But it's like, well, when I'm like it's 11 o'clock at night. I can't sleep. I'll go on TikTok and like watch videos.
Mm-hmm.
And it mostly just turns into like, music videos,
Yeah,
but it's like it's just a time suck. Like I get it,
it is a
but
time suck.
I don't know if it's the platform for me marketing wise. I think Instagram right now is the front runner. I can do all the platforms. The Drywall podcast is like moved to the top where I like engaging on so I have the Drywall podcast, I have Fresco Harmony, and I have Nick Harmon.
Yeah,
I go on and do a Sunday session with my guitar. That's Nick Harmon.
nice.
Or you know, podcast is like, I'm dropping Gloria all week.
Mm-hmm.
But the what I've found is the podcast is cool. I might drop the mock plaster video.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would go into the Drywall podcast. I wouldn't put that on the Fresco page,
No.
because I want to
Yeah.
keep that. I want to
Yeah.
keep the Fresco page looking professional and cool
That's
and all
right.
of that stuff. I can be a derelict on the Drywall podcast page because that's my personality. And
Totally.
then, say fuck and whatever. I'm not going to do that on the Fresco page. So, I mean, I'm by no means a social media guru or anything like that, but that's my strategy. It's been really cool to have multiple pages. I've always felt like you should have a podcast page
It's coming.
and your other page, like just, so you can keep podcast shit over here.
Yeah.
Brawley's Dad Construction is here.
Yeah.
Even this new company, maybe this would be a new company, the Traveling Wilburys or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for
I don't
me,
know. The adventure team.
yeah, the
Fuck
A-team.
yeah.
We I have kept my following very small. For a long time, I wasn't even using hashtags because I don't want 20,000 people following my shit for giveaway. I don't do fucking giveaways. I don't
Except
do
for
any of that shit.
hashtag sexy walls.
That's right. We're gonna do a contest. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, coming up soon.
It's coming up soon.
It's gonna get dicey. It might get a little dicey.
But saying that, the Brawley's Dad podcast page, I'm gonna pump it, right? And if people want to do giveaways on there, do it. We're gonna hashtag the shit of everything. We're gonna make clips for things, right? And then that can grow a following. But my personal page, man, I don't want any idiots on that page. And if you are and you're on that page, you're not there for long.
Interesting.
I am not looking for followers on my big one. The followers that I do have all engaged. My engagement's fantastic. It's
okay.
I can just be me, but you're right. I do need to get that Brawley's Dad one up and running.
I've just a suggestion from my standpoint, and it should be like, Brawley's Dad. It should be like Brawley's Dad podcast, not Brawley's Dad Construction, so that people, you got BDP,
BDP.
bam, and then BDC, Brawley's Dad Construction, Brawley's Dad podcast, and you could like differentiate a little bit. I don't know what I'm weird like that. Like I like to.
It's nice keeping it separate. Like, I mean, if you go onto my page and try and find stuff from the podcast, you're looking for a while. If you see a whole other page and that's all it is, then it's your decision, right? Go on there, check it out, or don't follow me and follow that. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
it's the right move now that it's starting to get some traction and people are wanting to get involved. So it just makes sense.
I think it'll just continue. I think both these podcasts will just continue to get more traction.
Yeah, dude. Totally.
I have a laundry list now from the last Can-Am giveaway. Shout out to Can-Am Tools also
Shout
for like
out to Wolfgang.
just supporting the Drywall podcast the way they do. It's so cool. The last giveaway was except for that fucking ice bath. Did you watch that video? It's like my camera notified me that it had 20% battery life. It's like, thanks, fucking dick. Like, I'm trying to do a giveaway here. I don't care that there's 20% battery life. And then I was like, oh, well, it's still recording. It doesn't matter. And so I do the rest of the giveaway and say everything. And all it gets is me shutting off the camera. Right as I go to pick the name, it shuts off. So I was so mad. And it's like, and then of course, then everybody's like, well, dude, your video cut off. I don't see the fucking who won, and it's like, you have to go back and be like, I'm sorry. It was Drywall John. And then Drywall John's like, doesn't even know he's part of the giveaway. He doesn't. And then he's like, Wolfgang reaches out to him, and he's like, because he's gotten scammed before. He thinks it's like this. He thinks Wolfgang's trying to scam him because he's
That's
like,
amazing.
I don't give my email or my phone number to anybody. Like, dude, it's Wolfgang, dude. He owns Can-Am Tools. It's fine. Like,
Of all the
you're getting like the grand prize of
yeah.
he's like, I didn't enter any contest.
I mean,
So let me assure you, these are not like this guy actually won. I pulled his name out of the hat. He actually went on to the post and recommended somebody be on the podcast, even though he had no clue what the podcast is. He won.
And I mean, anybody on the planet is going to scam you. It is not Wolfgang. I'll tell you that right now. He's about the most humble person I think I've ever met. Right?
He's a drywall Buddha, man. He's a super cool dude.
That is exactly what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never even seen him wound up.
Nah.
Nothing.
Now he's called me. We've gotten heated up a little bit about like product stuff, but he's super cool.
Yeah, you run a business, right? So it's man, rock and roll. So
all right, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Every Friday is a new episode of the Drywall Podcast. Make sure everybody's checking that out. Check out Nick's 700 pages he's got separated. You're gonna enjoy them all.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Oh, I was gonna say too that the video now I've been posting the video of each podcast in its entirety. Shout out to Big Dog Drywall for telling me, dude, hey, you gotta have a video, dude. His person. Hey everybody, guess what I'm up to now? It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He's a character. Yeah, he's a character. So he told me that I needed to start posting the entire video of each podcast, and if I don't, he's like on me. Hey, dude, you didn't post like the video of this. It's like, so people do watch the video, which that was also, a year and a half in. That's a revelation. Oh, people want to see the podcast.
Well, and you start saying now, send me a picture of that so I could post it, and then you insert them into the videos, right? Like if they're talking about a certain thing, and then
yes, and we do that
now. That's really cool. That's really
it's cool.
Yeah.
So you can do I can do a link, or generally I just post like a title of like, oh, they're doing this or that or whatever.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time today, buddy. It's always good to talk to you, and we will see you in January.
All right. Peace.
Be humble. Treat everyone the same, and do your fucking job.